A significant new tax bill has emerged from the House of Representatives, sparking considerable discussion across the nation regarding its potential impacts. This legislation, passed in May 2025 by a narrow margin, proposes a range of changes to the American tax system, touching everything from individual deductions to how certain types of income are treated. Proponents, including former President Trump and House Speaker Mike Johnson, have hailed it as a transformative piece of policy designed to stimulate the economy and provide relief to various groups of taxpayers. The bill aims to reshape financial landscapes for many individuals and families, making it a central topic of debate and analysis. The bill, sometimes referred to as a GOP megabill, reflects a particular vision for the country's economic future. It carries the imprint of policy ideas championed during past campaigns and legislative sessions, seeking to enact substantial tax cuts amounting to an estimated $3.8 trillion. These proposed changes are extensive, with implications that would be felt broadly if the bill becomes law. Understanding the specific components of this bill is crucial for citizens to grasp how it might affect their personal finances and the wider economy. Its passage through the House marks just the first step in a complex legislative journey. One of the primary objectives of this comprehensive bill is to extend certain tax cuts that were originally enacted in 2017 and are currently set to expire at the end of 2025. By doing so, the bill seeks to provide continuity for taxpayers who have benefited from these existing provisions. Additionally, it aims to introduce new forms of tax relief, specifically targeting seniors and workers in service industries who rely on tips. The overarching narrative presented by its supporters is one of economic empowerment and a reduction of the tax burden, particularly for working Americans and older citizens navigating their retirement years. Despite its passage in the House, the bill's journey is far from over, and its future remains decidedly uncertain. It now advances to the Senate, where it will undergo further scrutiny and debate. The political dynamics in the Senate are different, and the bill could face significant opposition or undergo substantial amendments. President Biden has also indicated potential opposition to the legislation in its current form. Therefore, while the House vote is a critical milestone, it is essential to recognize that the provisions discussed are proposals that have not yet been enacted into law, and their final shape could change considerably. A key component of this new tax legislation is a proposed temporary increase in the standard deduction specifically for individuals aged 65 and older. This provision would allow seniors to boost their standard deduction by up to $4,000 for the tax years 2025 through 2028. The intention behind this measure is to provide direct tax relief to older Americans, potentially reducing or even eliminating federal income tax on their Social Security benefits for some. However, this benefit is not universal. It is designed with income limitations, phasing out for individuals earning more than $75,000 or married couples filing jointly with incomes exceeding $150,000 annually. This increased standard deduction for seniors aims to alleviate some of the financial pressures they may face, particularly those relying on fixed incomes like Social Security. By increasing the amount of income that is not subject to tax, it can lead to lower tax bills for many. It is important to clarify, however, that this is not a direct $4,000 payment or boost to Social Security checks themselves. Rather, it is a change in the tax code that affects how much taxable income a senior reports. Furthermore, the bill does not fully eliminate taxes on all Social Security income for all seniors. It modifies the calculation for some. Another headline-grabbing aspect of the bill is the proposed elimination of federal taxes on tips. This measure, strongly advocated by former President Trump, would mean that income earned through tips by workers in restaurants, hospitality, and other service industries would no longer be subject to federal income tax. This could represent a significant financial uplift for millions of Americans who depend on gratuities as a substantial part of their earnings. If enacted, this change would fundamentally alter how tip income is treated by the federal government, potentially increasing the take-home pay for these essential workers across the country. Beyond the tax exemption for tips, the bill also includes a temporary provision to eliminate federal taxes on overtime pay. This particular measure would be effective for overtime earned between the years 2026 and 2028. For individuals who frequently work extra hours, this could translate into a noticeable increase in their net pay during those specific years. The combination of no federal tax on tips and a temporary reprieve from federal taxes on overtime pay represents a concerted effort within the bill to provide tangible financial benefits to a broad segment of the American workforce, particularly those in roles that often involve variable income streams. The proposed tax bill contains several other significant changes beyond the provisions for seniors and tipped income. For families with children, the child tax credit is slated for an increase, rising from the current $2,000 per child to $2,500. This enhanced credit would be available for the tax years 2025 through 2028, after which it would revert to $2,000. A key condition for claiming this increased credit is that the child and the claimant must have a Social Security number. Another notable adjustment concerns the state and local tax, or SALT deduction, with the cap being raised from $10,000 to $40,000 for married couples, with incomes up to $500,000, potentially benefiting taxpayers in states with higher property and income taxes. In a move aimed at incentivizing domestic manufacturing, the bill introduces a new deduction for interest paid on car loans, but with a specific condition. The vehicle purchased must be made in the United States. This provision seeks to encourage consumers to buy American-made cars, thereby supporting the U.S. automotive industry. The bill also extends the general standard deduction for all taxpayers through 2028, building upon the framework of the 2017 tax cuts. These broad-based changes, coupled with more targeted relief, form a comprehensive package designed to alter the tax landscape for individuals and families across different income brackets and life situations. The legislation also proposes significant reforms to social safety net programs, specifically Medicaid and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. For Medicaid, new work requirements would be introduced for childless, non-disabled adults, mandating at least 80 hours of work per month starting from late 2026. Furthermore, the bill calls for more frequent re-enrollment, shifting from an annual process to every 6 months, accompanied by additional income and residency verification requirements. These changes are intended to ensure that benefits are directed to those who meet stricter eligibility criteria, though they have drawn criticism from opponents concerned about potential coverage losses. Similarly, the SNAP program, commonly known as food stamps, would see changes aimed at increasing recipient work participation and state financial responsibility. New work requirements would be imposed on able-bodied adults without dependents. Additionally, states would be required to contribute more of their own funding to the SNAP program. These adjustments reflect a policy approach focused on promoting work and ensuring the fiscal sustainability of these assistance programs. However, like the Medicaid changes, these proposals are contentious, with debates centering on their potential impact on vulnerable populations and access to essential support services. Now that the House of Representatives has passed this extensive tax and spending bill, the legislation moves to the next critical stage consideration by the United States Senate. The bill's journey through the Senate is expected to be challenging. The political composition of the Senate differs from the House, and securing the necessary votes will require navigating complex interests and disagreements. Bills of this magnitude commonly undergo significant modifications during Senate deliberations, meaning the version that emerges could look different from what the House approved. The future of the bill in the Senate is highly uncertain. Senators will conduct their own hearings, debates, and negotiations. Various committees will scrutinize the bill's provisions, from tax cuts for seniors and tipped workers to changes in Medicaid and SNAP. If the Senate passes a version that differs from the House bill, the two chambers would need to reconcile their differences through a conference committee before sending a final bill to the president. This process can be lengthy and fraught with political maneuvering. President Biden and his administration are expected to oppose many aspects of the bill. Democratic leaders like House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries have voiced strong criticism, labeling it a GOP tax scam and expressing concern over proposed changes to social programs. This opposition sets the stage for a significant political battle. The bill also includes a proposal to raise the debt ceiling by $4 trillion, a measure that often sparks intense partisan debate, especially with Treasury warnings of a potential debt crisis by August 2025. Ultimately, this bill is not yet law. Its House passage is important, but just one part of a longer, complex legislative process. The coming weeks will see intense debate and negotiation as the bill makes its way through the Senate. Whether these proposed changes will become reality remains to be seen. The nation will be watching closely as lawmakers grapple with these policy decisions.